Thank you so much for watching Landumc Goes There. Please subscribe and hit the like button and the bell notification button. The 1969 American drama film Midnight Cowboy set screens on fire. It was directed by John Schlesinger and adapted by Waldo Salt. All this from a 1965 novel that bore the same name. The movie stars Jon Voight and Dustin Hoffman, with supporting roles played by Sylvia Miles, John MacGyver, Brenda Vaccaro, Bob Balaban, Jennifer Salt, and Bernard Hughes. The storyline goes that Joe Buck, who's a native Texas hayseed, dresses himself in his urban cowboy garb and arrives in New York City with big plans of being a gigolo, solely to his preferred clientele of rich, attractive women. His belief and his appeal to the female persuasion has been reinforced his entire life by every female that he's ever encountered. Family, friends, lovers, past and present. But it's sad to say that New York City disappoints him. He's completely out-hustled by most of the people that he meets, and he lacks the fortitude to hustle them right back. With nowhere to turn, he eventually befriends one of those hustlers, Enrico Salvatore Rizzo, a sickly man with a gimp leg. Some people call him Ratso, a nickname that he just hates. Joe ends up squatting with Ratso in a room he is found in a condemned, otherwise empty building. As these two lean on each other for support, they work together for their mutual benefit and survival. But as Ratso's health deteriorates over the winter, Joe changes his focus to achieving Ratso's dream of moving to Miami. At the 42nd Academy Awards, the film won 3 awards: Best Picture, Best Director, and Best Adapted Screenplay. It's the only X-rated film to ever win Best Picture, and it placed 36th on the American Film Institute's list of 100 greatest American films of all time. The very opening scenes were filmed in Big Spring, Texas in 1968. In those scenes, you'll see a roadside billboard stating, "If you don't have an oil well, get one." This is spotted by Joe Buck as he travels northbound through Texas to New York. Such advertisements like this were pretty common in the southwestern United States. Dustin Hoffman, who played the grizzled veteran of New York streets, auditioned for the movie, and at the time, he knew that he had that all-American image that carried over after The Graduate, and that could cost him this job. To prove that he could play Rizzo, he asked the audition film executive to meet him on a street corner in Manhattan, and in the meantime, he dressed himself up in filthy rags. The executive arrived at the appointed corner and waited, barely noticing the beggar less than 10 feet away, who was accosting people for spare change. At last, that beggar walked up to him and revealed his true identity. This immediately landed him the job. It's also said that he kept pebbles in his shoes to ensure his limp would be consistent from shot to shot. It's said that Jon Voight was paid scale, which is the Screen Actors Guild minimum wage, for his portrayal of Joe Buck. He did this as a concession that he was willing to make in order to gain this part. Hoffman spent a considerable amount of time in the New York City slums, just observing tramps and street people and studying their physical movements and behavior. Director Mike Nichols did everything he could to persuade Dustin Hoffman not to take this movie. He told him, "Are you crazy? I made you a star. This is an ugly character. It's a supporting part to Jon Voight. What are you doing? Why are you sabotaging yourself?" But it just shows that directors don't always have the answers to an actor's career. when John Voight and John Schlesinger wrapped filming in Texas, and Voight noticed how red the director's face was, Voight thought that maybe he was having a heart attack and asked him if he was okay. He looked up at him and said, "What have we done? What will they think of us? After all, we made a film about a dishwasher who lives in New York and sleeps with a lot of women." But John Voight calmed him down and told him they would look back at this as a great masterpiece, and that he was absolutely sure of that. And that statement turned out to be true. Voight and Hoffman often competed with each other. Hoffman became a movie star before Voight did, and that brought some envy onto the set, pushing each other to do the best that they could do. John Voight, in order to prepare for the part, took a tape recorder with him on the first time that he went down to Big Spring, Texas, for some pre-production planning. He recorded the voices of Texans who he interviewed for bit parts in the picture. Then he basically drove everybody mad by playing back these tapes incessantly, all the way back to New York. But it did help him get his Texas drawl down perfectly. It took several hours to shoot the assault scene with Jennifer Salt, and she recalls that evening being a real unsettling ordeal for her. The wardrobe crew had given her a nude-colored bodysuit to wear, but the night was so brutally hot and sticky that she quickly stripped it off. She felt horrible during the entire taping. With everybody looking at her bare backside, she was so humiliated she couldn't even discuss it. She says she was screaming and screaming, and it was traumatic in a way that she couldn't acknowledge. Sylvia Miles said her nudity wasn't even in the script. When they were filming the scene with John Voight, the director told her that it would work a lot better if she didn't have her clothes on. She told him that it wasn't written that way, but he kept insisting until she finally gave in and took her clothes off. Now, Brenda Vaccaro plays Shirley in the film, and you don't even have to see her face. All you have to do is hear her voice to know that it's her. She has such a raspy, breathy voice that it's easy to pick out. But she took a lot of ridicule for a 1980 Playtex ad that she did for tampons. Number one, it was thought that it would be something that might ruin this up-and-coming actress's career. But even more than that, they had to pull the ad because the entire time she's talking and selling the people on the product, her breath sounds overwhelm the audio. They eventually took those breath sounds out, and the commercial was much easier to watch. But that doesn't mean that that commercial wasn't spoofed time after time by comedy channels. Look it up on YouTube. You can find a clip of it. It's pretty intense. Thank you so much for watching, and we'll continue to chase the classics.